Welcome back, fellas. Dylan Wilson here. If you don't know who I am, don't worry about it, because today in this video, I'm going to show you guys how you guys can completely remove yourself from the business, have the entire thing run on autopilot, so you can go out and live your dream life. Get that freedom that you first got into business for, because I know it's very common that we start a business and then, 1 month into it, 2 months into it, sometimes even 2, 3, 4 years into it, we find ourselves trapped inside of the business. We find ourselves working 14 hours a day just to try and keep things up, just to try and keep up with service delivery and sales, and it almost seems impossible as to how we can completely pull ourselves back and remove ourselves from the business, have it run without our day-to-day involvement. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. Now, why you guys should listen? Well, first of all, I can tell you it's because y'all favorite guru is hitting up my line offering to pay me $100 for them to show them all my secrets, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you all the secrets instead. But first of all, let me show you something real quick here, okay? I'm going to pop on my screen recording here. 1 second. I'm going to show you something cool. So it's Monday, January 15th. I'm going to show you guys what I did yesterday. So first of all, I got the Garmin watch here because I can't afford a Rolex. But I'm going to show you guys. Oh, I already got it. I got it prepared. So you can see yesterday I slept for 11 hours and 14 minutes. Now that's a long time. Now what did I do after I woke up? Well, after I woke up, I went and met up with my friend. And you can see here, this is me going for a nice afternoon workout with a weighted vest on. Kind of fun. Then after that, I went to the gun range. This is me here shooting a Desert Eagle. Kind of a rookie. My first time ever holding a gun. I was like, holy shit, never done that before. All the while, here's the kicker. Where is it? We did $3 grand yesterday. So while I slept for 11 hours and 14 minutes, then went out and drove for 45 minutes, did a weighted vest hike, and then after that went and shot guns. The company still made $3 grand. One of the companies that I'm involved with still made $3 grand. I'm gonna stop this recording right here. And you might be thinking, wow, you're a terrible leader. You're out there living the life and making your team slave away. But let me show you something. It's actually a little card that I got from one of my agency employees when they had to move on to a bigger and better opportunity. Dylan, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you for the past 1.5 years. Thank you for taking a chance on hiring a random fresh out of college kid in the US. I'm incredibly grateful for the experiences I've gained since joining the team. You taught me XYZ. She goes on to explain a bunch about that. I will always be cheering you on. Please don't be a stranger. Reach out to me. I look forward to seeing you and your team's success. Okay? That's the message there. You can screenshot if you want to read the whole thing. Now, in addition to that, I have cold callers on my team that literally do 500 dials a day. In addition to that, I have a good story about a sales guy who joined one of my team, and there's a little bit of a miscommunication when we hired him. Anyways, we hired him, we brought him onto our team, we trained him up, we motivated him, we chose the right person. He went on to work for 4 weeks, collected a bunch of money, and at the end of the 4 weeks, he hits me up. He's like, hey Dylan, I just wanted to say, I really, really appreciate the opportunity. I've loved being a part of this team. I just had one question for you, Dylan. What is my commission structure? And I'm like, you mean you've been working your ass off for the last 4 weeks and you didn't even know what you were getting paid? He's like, yeah, man, I just love being a part of this team. Okay, so how do we create that environment? Now, I can tell you it wasn't always like that, because when I first got into business about 4 years ago, it took me about 1.5 years to get up to the roughly 10 to 15, 20-ish grand a month mark. And then from there, I stayed between 10 and 30 grand a month for 3 straight years. And I didn't know how to break through that. And the reason why is because I was like probably what a lot of you guys are like right now. I was trapped inside the business. I was scared to hire. I was scared to delegate. I was scared to let other people, because every single time I did it, they didn't do as good of a job as me. And as a result, I was always the smartest person in the room. And it wasn't until I learned these 3 lessons that I'm going to share with you, and these 3 secrets that I'm going to share with you in this video, is what took me from being stuck at, $10,000, $20,000 a month to, let's just say, where we are now, which is a little bit more than that. And so with that, the 3 key things that you need to do in order to completely remove yourself from your business so you can truly enjoy that freedom that you've experienced and actually scale to these big 7-figure numbers is number one, you need to first take accountability for your shitty employees. Okay? If your employee is not performing, it's your own fucking fault. Because there's only 3 reasons as to why somebody wouldn't perform. They're either not the right person and it was your responsibility to hire them. They didn't get trained and it was your responsibility to train them, or they aren't motivated. And guess what? It was your fucking responsibility to motivate them as the leader. Right? So the first thing that you have to do, and this was the first thing that I learned, was that every time I was dealing with a bad employee, every time the employee wasn't performing, every time they were falling short of their KPIs, it was my own fault, because every single time I either didn't hire the right person, I didn't motivate them, and I didn't train them as well as I should have. Okay? So that is step number one. It's like, understand that if your employees are not performing, it's your own fault. If you blame the employee, you hold no power and you can't control the situation and you stay stuck in the terrible hamster wheel that you're currently in. Okay? So really this leads into the 3 key parts of this video. Number 1 is, how do we find the right person? Number 2, how do we motivate them to actually want to do the work? And then number 3 is, how do we train them to make sure that they know how to do the work? Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to hire the right person. Now, a little while ago, I read a book called Traction, How to Get a Grip on Your Business, or it's something like that. And that really completely changed my perspective of how to hire and find the right people for their team. And the concept of having the right person in the right seat is what completely changed my trajectory. So let me explain right person in right seat. Well, what is the right person? The right person is somebody who's in alignment with your core values. And somebody in the right seat means that their unique skill set is in alignment with what you need them to do on your team. So if they're good at sales, you have them in a sales position. But if you have a good sales guy trying to do like ads manager shit, it probably isn't going to work out well. So how do we find the right person? Well, the first thing is, for every time you want to hire somebody, you want to do 5 to 20 interviews per position that you are looking to fill. If you want to do that with a little bit more leverage, you do a group interview. Now, the second thing that you do is, before you even get into the nitty gritty, like what most people do is, what is your sales experience, whatever that case may be. They don't worry about any of that bullshit right off the bat, because in the beginning, it doesn't matter how good they are at sales. If they're not a right fit, if they're not going to be rowing in the same direction, if they're not in alignment with your vision, they're going to be extremely hard to motivate, and they're not going to last for long, and the cost of replacing them is going to fuck your business. Okay, so bill number 1, how do we find the right person? Well, the first thing is, you probably have to 2 to 10x your interview volume. What that means is, whenever we make a hire, we interview 5 to 20 people per person that we're looking to hire. And if you want to do it with a little bit more leverage, schedule group interviews where you can take 5 closers on at a time, 10 closers on at a time, get a feel for the people, maybe choose 1 closer from each little group that you do to go to a second round. The point is if you sit down with 20 to 30 people for every 1 position that you're looking to hire, you're going to find a really good person. And then when you find a really good person, your team's going to go really fast. You're going to be able to trust them, and you're not going to have to stay in the weeds with your company. Okay, but how do we find that? How do we know who the right person is? Well, we need to understand the concept of having the right person in the right seat. Now, I didn't come up with this. I'm not that smart. I read a book, though, about 6 months ago called Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business. It's probably one of the most transformative business books I've ever read that has directly helped me make enough money to go out to the bar on weekends. And one of the things that they talk about in this book is making sure that you have the right person in the right seat. What the right person is somebody who's aligned with your core values and your company mission. So how do we do that? Well, simple. You ask them, right? In the beginning of your interview, you say, listen, one of our core values here is X. What does that mean to you? And tell me a story about how it relates to your personal life. Okay, well, another one of our core values is Y, right? For example, Relentless Success Club's core values is relentless competitor, jokester, transparent, reliable, and eccentric, right? So if I was to interview somebody for RSC, for example, I would say, jokester, tell me a story about how that relates to their personal life, and what does that word mean to you, right? And then if you like their answers, if you think they're going to get along, if you think they're going to be a good fit with your team, you move them on to the next phase, which is like when you specifically ask them questions that shows that they actually have the skill to fill the job, right? Now, if you have the right person that's in alignment with your team, they're a culture fit, they love your mission, and they want to join the journey with you, and they have the unique ability, right? They're good at sales, they're good at ads manager, they're good at whatever you do, they're gonna be the right person, which is step 1 in order to remove yourself from the business, is finding the right people to work with you. Now, I'm gonna share something with you guys right now. One sec, let me pull this up. So this is the interview process that we use here. I use for my agencies, I use for all my companies that I'm involved with right now. So number one is culture fit. Like I said, I'm gonna say a word, right? Here are all a bunch of different questions. Feel free to screenshot this, take this, copy me. I don't really care. And then the second thing is skill fit, right? So once you've understood that they are a culture fit, you want to come into sales position, right? Like if it's a sales position, these are a bunch of questions that you can ask them. If it's a client success manager position, these are a bunch of questions that you can ask them. If it's an operations manager, these are a bunch of questions you can ask them. Ads manager, you get the point. And then the last part is the why. Like, why are they leaving their current role? Why do they want to work for your company? All that kind of things. Now, I promise you guys, if you find somebody who is in alignment with all your core values as a human being, as a company, they have shown that they have the right skills and they have a strong why to work with your company, they damn well are going to be the right person, right? And you're not going to find them, you're unlikely to find them if you only do 3 interviews. But if you do 20, you're guaranteed to find the right person. And if you're guaranteed to find the right person, well, guess what? You're going to get really good, like you're going to be able to grow because you're going to have the right people on your team, which is step 1 in order to how to remove yourself from the business, okay? So let's get into step 2 here. Okay, so pillar number 2 is how do we motivate the person? Okay, so now that we found the right person on our team, doesn't matter if they're the right person or not, if they're not motivated, right? At the end of the day, they have to be motivated to do the work, or all that work that we did in the interview process is useless, okay? And here's a couple things that you can do to get next level motivation out of your team. Number 1, I recommend you guys do this, is a personal identity audit, okay? And what that means is you have a one-on-one conversation with your team member, and I don't care if they're a VA or they're your COO, you have a one-on-one conversation and you ask them, what is your dream? What brings out the best side of you? What brings out the worst side of you? How much money do you want to make? When do you want to be making that kind of money? What kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What is your biggest motivation? What kind of environment, do you perform the best at? What kind of environment do you perform the least at? What type of vacations do you like to take? You basically just get a personal identity audit of who they are as a person, what their dream is. Okay. The second thing you do here is you also want to find out what their love language is, right? So you can search this up. There's a bunch of simple love language quizzes. The different love languages are, I'm going to try and remember them off the top of my head. Touch, which is like physical touch. I don't know what to do if your employee gets that, but I don't have much experience with that. The other ones, though, are acts of service, gifts, words of encouragement, and I don't remember the fifth one. That being said, once you find out what their love language is, you want to use that in motivation as well, right? So if they're like for example, if you have somebody who that their love language is gifts and they do really well, send them a gift card at the end of the week. Hey man, you crushed it this week. Here's a $50 gift card. Go take your family out for dinner. Okay? Or if you know that their love language is words of affirmation, on the next team call, right? Publicly shout them out. Hey, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to the number 1 unsung hero on this team. It is XYZ employee. He absolutely crushed it. Okay? And now the second thing here and the third thing here is to figure out what their personal dreams and aspirations are, right? And then paint a clear roadmap, paint a clear vision as to exactly how they can achieve that within your company, right? So if they want to make, let's say, $5,000 a month so they can quit their day job and they can do this full time and they can work from home and they can take care of their kids, right? You want to be able to go deep, right? Almost like it's a sales call to figure out what their deep why is behind why they want to work for this company. And then, okay, awesome. So if you want to do that, you're going to need to learn this skill, you're going to need to hit this KPI, and then you're probably going to have to move up into a management position. So once you've hit this skill, then you're going to be able to move up into this management position where you're going to have to learn leadership. And if you do that, you will be able to make $5,000 a month so you can quit your job and you can live at home and you can spend more time with your family. So you need to understand that you are literally 2 skills away from getting there. Okay? Do you see how this is possible now? Right? Do you see how we're going to make this work? Right? And when employees see the vision, when they see the future, when they understand the path ahead of them, one of the most demotivating things that people have is when they lose, like they don't have a vision. They don't know where they're going. Right? When people lose vision, they get quickly demotivated. So if you can strictly paint that vision for them, their motivation will be much higher. Now, another thing here is to making sure that your entire team is involved. You never want to isolate team members, even if they're just like $3 an hour VAs. So how you do this, the simplest way to do this is just host what's called an all hands in meeting. And that's basically where, once or twice a week, you get all of your employees, whether it's all your VAs and your closers, whoever it is, you throw them all into one meeting, right? Because it might mean nothing to you. But do you know how cool it is for the $3 an hour VA to be like really feel like they're a part of something big, and to be able to talk about fitness or their workouts or their runs with your top closer, or even you? Did you know how cool that is for them? Do you know how much it makes them feel special? Like it makes them feel like they're a part of something, which in turn motivates them like exponentially. I promise you, this is little shit that will completely change the course of your employees' motivation. And this is how you remove yourself from the business so you can enjoy that true life freedom. And then the next thing here is to make them feel like they contribute, right? Like make them feel like when you are, coming up with you need to implement something new. Don't just go around barking orders at people. They feel like it's just a to-do list and they don't really care. They're just going to do it they get the commission check. Like that's all they care about, right? But if you come to your VA and it's like, awesome, so our response rates are kind of low. What do you think that we could do to improve that? And let them share their ideas with you and do the best that you can to implement some of their ideas so they feel like it's their own, because when people feel like it's their own, they will implement, they will work much harder. It's the reason why you guys work so hard on your fucking business, even if it's not making that much money, because you feel like it's your own. And it doesn't matter who your employees, they all have the same mindset. Now, what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to show some meeting highlights here of me literally going through all of this with one of my current agency employees. So sit back, enjoy, and you can see all of this in action.
Okay. Dylan, what's up?
What's going on? Marcus, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. I've heard many good things about you.
Oh, that's good to hear. I've heard a lot about you too.
Oh boy. But before we get into all this shit, what's your story? Take 2 minutes. Give me the inside scoop on Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, basically, well, for the past 2 years, I've been doing door-to-door sales.
Okay.
I dropped out of college before that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just living life. That's kind of
You dropped out of college to door-to-door sales, like solar?
It was pest control. So it's a company called Aptiv. And we basically work 3 months out of the year really hard.
Yeah.
12-hour days, 6 days a week. And then you don't work the rest of the year. You kind of just enjoy your time off. You recruit people.
Okay.
That's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. Yeah, and I've got plenty of hobbies, obviously, exercise, lifting weights. I'm trying to get into this thing, the SMMA thing. This is something I discovered literally maybe a month and a half ago.
Okay.
I joined your Discord and was like, I want to learn more about this. People are making money. So I saw a job posting. I applied to that instantly. I think Asa reached back out in a day. It was instant. I was like, yeah, I'll sit down for a meeting. I'll just see what this is about. And yeah, since then I've just been investing some time figuring out.
Okay. Sweet. So what is your goal? What, I guess, your own personal goal in the next 3 months?
At first it was, well, since people are seeing success with this, I'll see success too. I'm going to start my own thing. I'm going to scale it, whatever. I'm going to, set calls, get clients, deliver them results. But, oh shit, that's my maintenance guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have to head out here, but yeah. But now I see what Ace has built and it's super comprehensive. It seems really difficult to build myself, and I'm not a tech savvy guy. So I'm still kind of trying to figure out what my goals are. Great question. But yeah, I got to go for 5 minutes.
Okay. We'll jump back into Marcus here. So Marcus, I guess you came across SMMA. You joined my Discord. You reached out. You started working with Asa. You realized how tough that SMMA actually is. So continue with that. Where do you see yourself in 3 months? Like, what kind of lifestyle do you want to be living? Like, what are your income goals? Like, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So to give you a little bit of background, I haven't really okay, so next summer is
Yeah.
when the door-to-door summer sales thing is. And I haven't quite quit yet. Like I could still go back out. I
Yeah.
have passed off a few of the people that I was going to go out with, like recruits, to other people,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of I don't know, lose a little bit of responsibility. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out whether I'm going to go do that in a few months or am I going to do something completely different, go a different direction.
Okay, what do you want to do?
I don't like knocking doors. I can tell you that.
Okay, so you don't like knocking doors. So your goal here is to build a big enough, make enough money so that you don't have to go back to door knocking.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is that number for you?
Um, I think right now, okay, if I were to go knock doors for 3 months this coming summer,
Yeah.
I would pretty much be guaranteed to make 75K in personal commissions. And that's not including, I don't know, training and recruits, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. I would like to get there, but I'm not in a huge rush right now.
Like 75K over three, so 25K a month.
Yeah, I mean, that would be ideal. I mean, I think 75K yearly would just be where I want to be.
Okay. So
It doesn't need to be
75K,
in 3 months.
75K yearly is, what is that? How much is that a month?
It's
It's like 6 or 7.
less, right?
5 is 60.
Okay. So like six,
Yeah, about seven,
ish.
7K.
Okay, 6 to 7K a month.
And no,
Okay.
you were at 6.
Okay, sweet. So in order for you to get to 6 and 7K a month, um, that's like extremely doable. I can tell you right now, um, I expect this agency to be anywhere between 50 to 100K in the next 3 to 6 months. Um, even if you don't move up into closing, even if you just stay doing what you're currently doing, the setter manager will be making over 7K a month. Right. And so what that means to you is like, step one would be to, get really good at, what we're currently doing. And then the compensation structures that we have in place, or I have in place with the agencies that I build is like, first of all, you make the commissions, you make everything off of this calls that you close. Then the next step is to move into a setter manager position, which, depending on the offer and depending on how everything's run, we'll get to the nitty-gritty of that when the time comes. But we usually give setter managers like an additional 5% of all deals that get closed from their team, right? And so, the skill sets that you would need to learn in order to basically achieve what you want, which is to make anywhere between 6 to 8K a month. You get to work from home. You don't have to go door knocking. And I don't know about you, but you don't have to sell fucking pest control.
Yeah, no, it's tough telling people or telling girls especially yeah, I sell pest control.
Yeah,
I
like,
don't know.
right. Like you would have to first get good at setting, right? Which Asa and I will be here to support you. And then second of all, the next phase that you would have to go through is we'd probably hook you up with some leadership books. We'd hook you up with some leadership resources and do some leadership training. So then you could learn the skill of, how do I transfer the skill that I've learned of setting into other people? And then how do I manage them and how do I keep them motivated? Right. So
Yeah.
realistically, you're two core skill sets away from making anywhere between 6 to 8K a month, with this opportunity here. right? And I like to have this conversation with people first so they understand. And, I think that most of the people lose motivation when they lose a vision, right? Like, a lot of people, it's like when they know what they're doing, when they know what they have to do, and when they know where they're going, they're motivated. And when they're motivated, what happens? They do good work, they make lots of money and all that kind of stuff, right? And I've seen lots of times where people will, suffer from motivation or suffer from, whatever that case may be. Most of the time it's they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing, and they don't know what they want to do, right? They don't know what they don't want to do. They don't know where they want to go, right? And so I think having this quick little conversation for you, and let me know if there's still any uncertainties or things up in the air, but, so long as, you acquire the skill sets of, how to set appointments, and then require some leadership skill sets to how do we manage a setting team, you could get to, without a shadow of a doubt, you would be at that 6 to 8K a month, in personal take home. And that's not even including if you, started to close as well, or, move up into a different position like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, that was one of my main concerns, is that I was wasting my time because maybe I don't go and start my own agency.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't get paid more eventually. So it's nice to hear that there is a future, there's room for growth.
All right, so now that you guys know how to find the right person, and now you guys know how to motivate the right person, how do we train them up? Okay, well, before we get into how to actually train them up, and I'm going to categorize employees into 3 different buckets and then show you what I would be doing to train up employees at each individual level. Level 1 is going to be like VAs, and level 3 is going to be like COOs, top level employees. We first need to understand this simple graph right here, okay? So I, to the best of my artistic ability, drew out a simple graph that basically is cost on this side, skill on this side. And this is exactly what it fucking does. Pretty simple, okay? So what this means is that basically right here is like a VA, okay? Very low cost, right? Also very low skill, right? Up here, might be like a COO. Very high cost, okay? And very high skill. Now, the other thing too, basically this space right here, right? Like the distance between this space right here is how much time you need to spend with them, right? So we'll call this time, right? So for example, for a VA, right? Very low cost, very low skill, but we have to spend a bunch of our own time with them, okay? We're coming up here to like a COO position, right? Very high cost, high skill, but we don't need to spend that much time with them, okay? So draw it out on a napkin, and every time you hire a person, if it's a closer, right there. Setter, right there. Put the little dot on the graph here so you can tangibly see just how much work is going to go into actually building these people. Now that we have that basic understanding, I want to share with you one line. I want to preface this next 2 minutes with one line that helped a lot. I learned it from Patrick Bet David. I basically paid him $100 to answer one of my text messages, and this is generally speaking what he said to me. Micromanage until they can prove you otherwise. Okay, so what does that mean, right? So basically, it doesn't matter what level of employee that we have, we want to micromanage them until they prove to us that they know what they're doing, they can do it on their own, and then we let them free. Okay, and what I'm going to share with you guys now is, depending on what level of employee you're at, a roadmap that you can follow to go from this micromanaging to having them completely run the business without your involvement. So let's start with number 1, and I got notes over here to stay organized, is a low cost, a low skill employee. So if we're looking back at my little graph right here, the employees that are over in this area, okay? So days 1 to 2. We want to give them clearly documented standard operating procedures with step-by-step dummy-proof guides on what to do. Okay, in addition to that, video trainings, create looms, and clearly articulate what they need to do. And if you do what I do, you create an entire course so these people can, so your DM setters or your VAs or whatever task that needs to be done has a clear, like impossible to not understand demonstration of what to do. Now what I can do is I'm going to show you some examples of some of the ones that we've used in our past with the companies that I've been involved with, the agencies that I've been involved with, so you guys can get an example of the level of depth and what that would need to look like now. Okay, so once you've given them that, give them 1 to 2 days to go fully through that. And ideally you want to create some sort of a quiz or some sort of a test that they need to complete once they've gone through that, to make sure that they went through it, they studied it, and they actually paid attention before you move on to the next phase. And in day 3, this is when you go into more of a shadow, right? Where you maybe do the work, but you're on a Zoom call with them and they're watching you do it. They're asking you questions, right? If it's DM outreach, you're like, okay, we come into here, this is how we find the leads, we're doing it together, and they're basically shadowing you doing the work. And then later that day, or in day number 4, you flip the script and you do a reverse shadow, which means they go and they actually start doing the work for the first time, but you're on the Zoom call with them, you're watching them go through it, you're making sure you're staying quiet, but they can use you as kind of like a lifeline if they do get stuck or if they do forget what to do, to make sure that they fully, are able to execute this on your own. And then once you've gone through that and you feel like, okay, they kind of get it, you let them fly. But you include extensive end of day reports and you still continue with daily meetings. So what does this mean? Right now it's like, okay, you're off. Go start sending 100 messages a day, 200 messages a day. You're on your own. But as opposed to, just a simple, here's what I did today, we need you to be very extensive. I want you creating looms. I want you showing exactly what I did today. I want you going through, some of the accounts that you message, some of the questions that you have, and making your EOD reports very extensive so you can still keep an eagle eye on what they're doing. And then in addition to that, you want to meet with them daily to consistently uncover any problems that they're running into, any questions that they have, solving those on a day-to-day basis. And then once you've gone through, about 2 weeks of this process, that's when you can really slow things down, go to either a daily huddle, which is really just a 10 to 20 minute meeting to kick things off and, make sure everything's in check, or maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, proper meetings, 30 minutes-ish long, and then a simple EOD report, which an example would be like, I sent 100 messages today, I got this many responses, I got this many leads, checking out, see you tomorrow. Okay, so that is a roadmap that you can follow for EOD reports. Now let's go to the medium cost, medium skill. So right here, we're looking right in here, maybe we're looking at setters, closers, CSM, right? Like those kind of intermediate level employees. So for these people, all you really need is clearly documented SOPs. So this could just simply be a Word doc, right? I can share one. I can share one for you here, an example of what this would look like in the agency space. Right, so this is an example of a SOP for our sales team at our agency is like, what we offer, the offer positioning, our deliverables, the payment options, how to take payment. That's a simple walkthrough of exactly how to do it. Here are the Stripe links that you can use. Here's how to onboard somebody. Here's the sales call. Here's the call recordings. Here's the pitch deck. And then we're going to add some undeniable truth assets that they can use here as we get them. And then also their commission structure, right? This is an example of a standard, a basic standard operating procedure that you would want to have for a mid-level employee. Now, in addition to that, once you have that in place for the first 1 to 2 days, you want to give them the opportunity to do their own research, dive into all the materials that you have, have them clearly go through it, ask you questions, make sure that they're fully indoctrinated, get up to speed. If it's a sales guy, have them watch past recordings, all that kind of stuff. Once they have done that, the next step is to shadow, right? So in a sales environment, it would be a little bit tougher. That would be more or less like, here, watch back my calls. But if it's a CSM, maybe they come to the client check-in meetings, or they're with you on Zoom as you're responding to emails. Or if it's an ads manager type meeting, it's like you're going through, updating the ad accounts with them on Zoom. Then again, you flip the script, and they go to, they start doing the work. They start, responding to clients' emails. They start managing the ads, but you're on the Zoom call with them. You stay quiet, but they can use you as a lifeline if they, if you run into any problems, and at the end of it, you can give them feedback. Or if it's a sales environment, you start having them take calls, and then over time, you consistently, you review your calls so you can give them feedback. And then from day 5 to 14, again, you let them fly. Okay, you're off on your own. It's yours work to do. But at the end of every day, you give me extensive EOD reports, make a loom, share, spend 2 to 5 minutes explaining exactly what you went today, what you learned, all the problems that you run into, any questions that you have, right? And daily meetings, you want to keep the daily meetings in the first 2 weeks with that to make sure that they're up to speed and ready to go. And then the last thing here, once you've done that for about 2 weeks, that's when you can tone things back again a bit, go into a daily huddle or a 3 times a week meeting, and you can simplify the EOD reports, because at this time, they're able to run the company without your day-to-day involvement. Okay, now the last level here is the high cost, high skill, right? And that's the guy that's up here, so they're gonna cost you a lot, they're gonna come with a lot of skill, and you're not gonna spend that amount of time. Now, it is of my own personal opinion that when I'm bringing on people that are at this level, you really look at them as if it is a partnership, right? So when I bring on people at that level, I'm like, here's our company mission. Let's collaborate based on all the experience that you have, all the skills that you have, which is why I'm paying a premium, right? I'm paying a premium because I view you as an equal. I view you as somebody who's better than me in this specific department. That's why I brought you onto my team. I'm not necessarily going to be training you much. I'm going to be sharing with you the company mission, how we do things around here, but I'm not necessarily going to be training you much about your specific role. I'm viewing you as a partner. I've brought you in to grow this company exponentially. We can connect daily in a daily huddle, or a once a week meeting, twice a week meeting. And that is, typically how I personally like to manage those high level employees. So if you're a beginner, you probably won't be bringing in any CEOs or COOs. Maybe that's another partner, right? It's like, how would you view if you were to bring on, a back end partner or something like that? Okay. So that is a recap. That is a full guide on how to remove yourself from the day-to-day of your business so you can go on and experience the true life freedom that you got into this scam of entrepreneurship for. So to recap, if your employees are underperforming and you can't remove yourself from the business, it's your own fucking fault, because it means they're not motivated, you didn't hire the right person, or they're not trained up. And we first talked about how to find the right person, which means finding the right person in the right seat and doing enough interviews to make sure that you did find the right person. Then how to motivate, to making sure that your guys are motivated up and ready to go, ready to run through a brick wall. And then lastly, it's how do we train them up, right? How do we make sure that they do have the tools at their disposal to succeed in your company. Alrighty, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you got 10x the value in return. If you want free help scaling your SMMA, I want you to click the link below. We have a free community. There's like 5,000 people in it. Once a week, I do a live daily coaching call. I got a free course in there. Everything's free. And I hope you enjoy it, because my selfish goal is to rally you guys all together to be able to buy a sports team one day. It looks like it. Originally, the goal was to do it in 2033, but I think we're going to do it quicker than that with how things are going, and I think that's the lifelong dream that we have here at RSC. So if you'd like to participate in that, join the free community. I'll see you in there. I'll see you on the free call. As always, I appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Have a blessed day, and I will speak with you guys in the next video.